You're right, that there is, in this first step, or the inward-facing path, which is the Vedantic approach, in which we distance ourselves from the object of experience, the feeling in this case. I'm not my feelings, I am that which is aware of them. My feelings are temporary appearances that appear and disappear, but I remain as their witness or their knower. And you're right, this is still a position of duality. We still have I, consciousness, the knower, and the objects of experience, the body-mind world, the known. So yes, you're right, it's still a position of duality, but why let that alone prevent you from exploring in this way? It's true, it's only a stage of understanding, but it's an important one and a very powerful one. Because in this investigation we discover that what I essentially am is none of the changing content of my experience. I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my feelings, I'm not sensations or perceptions. And in this way there is this recognition, I am that to which all experience appears, and that in which all experience appears. And this liberates us to a large extent from the tyranny of our thoughts and feelings. So don't reject this part of the exploration just on the grounds that it's still dualistic, because it's very valuable in practical terms in establishing what we essentially are and giving us access to the peace that is inherent in consciousness or awareness. Having established I am inherently peaceful awareness, we then take what I sometimes refer to as the outward-facing step. We return to the objects of experience, and in doing so collapse the distinction between the two. So in this morning's meditation, the first two steps that I suggested were part of the inward-facing path, or part of let's say in the first two steps, dualism is still implicit. I am the witnessing presence of awareness to which the objects of experience appear. That's the first step. I am the open empty space of awareness in which the objects of experience appear. So these are the first two steps, and both of them, as you rightly say, suggest awareness plus objects. It's only in the third step that we gradually collapse the distinction between awareness and its objects. We go from the thought to thinking, and from thinking to knowing or consciousness. So in this third step, everything is reduced until we realize the only substance present in experience is knowing or consciousness. And at this stage there is no longer a subject and an object of experience. But I recommend, the reason I explain it in this way is because I feel that this way is the most efficient and the most experiential. But you could go straight to the third step and just see straight away all there is to experience is the knowing of it. But I feel that if you arrive at that conclusion too quickly, you miss out the opportunity of slowly exploring, really exploring this in your actual experience. The danger is that we come too quickly to the intellectual conclusion, there is only the knowing of experience, without really feeling the implications of that understanding.
When I practice with the second way you told yesterday, so it's the third step, quite the same. It's direct to the third step you spoke just now.
As you've discovered, some days I might say there are 2 steps, some days I might say there are 3 steps, some days there are no steps. These are just different models. Don't demand that everything I say on every day fits into a perfect model. I'm just using whatever tool comes to mind in the moment. So if I said there were 2 steps yesterday and 3 steps today, please understand them in the context. Another day I might say there are 7 steps. Or
when I feel I am very one with the situation of the emotion, I have to take a little glimpse to see, am I really aware or I am gone with the situation?
Well, when you feel totally one with experience, you are not separating yourself out as the awareness, as distinct from the experience. So as soon if you're one with the experience, in order to separate yourself out as consciousness or awareness, you're then removing yourself. You're taking the neti approach. I'm not this, I'm not that. But the value of taking this neti approach, the value of separating yourself out, at least to begin with, from experience, is this. Infants and animals are also one with their experience. But they cannot be said to have realized their true nature. And what we are speaking here is not a regression to an infantile state of experience in which we have yet to separate out a separate subject or ego of experience. So very often in contemporary expressions of non-duality, there is a confusion. What is being suggested is to return to an infantile state in which there is obviously no subject or object. An infant doesn't have any knowledge of itself as a separate subject of experience. It cannot distinguish between between its mother's body on its cheek and its own hand. It's all one seamless experience. Likewise, a fish in the ocean has no idea that it is a fish or that it is in an ocean. It is just one seamless experience. But that's not what we're speaking of here. For an infant and an animal, what they essentially are, consciousness, is completely merged in experience. What we are talking of here is a situation in which experience is merged in consciousness. Do you see the difference? For an infant and animal, consciousness is lost or merged in experience. And it's then necessary to separate out the ego. So in the first step, in a normal situation, the ego or separate self is separated out as the body-mind. So most people feel, I, the body-mind, experience the world. So in this teaching, in the Vedantic approach, we continue that separating out process, which nature has already begun. We don't just go as far as I, the body-mind, am aware of the world. We take another step back. I, awareness, am aware of the body-mind world. So we complete the process of differentiation or separation that nature has already begun. And that is a necessary step because it establishes the presence and the primacy of consciousness. We then, in the outward-facing path, which was the second step I suggested yesterday, we then go back to the objects of experience from which we previously separated ourselves, and we collapse the distinction. But instead of losing our self-consciousness in experience, we merge experience into consciousness. So for the infant and the animal, all there is experience. That's the pre-egoic state. Then we separate out, first of all, the ego and then awareness. That's the middle stage. And then in the post-egoic state, consciousness is not merged in experience, rather experience is merged in consciousness. So both the pre-egoic state and the post-egoic state are positions of unity. They're both positions of oneness. So that is why the post-egoic recognition is sometimes referred to as a childlike. But it's not childish, it's childlike. And there's a distinction. And this is what this is why in the Zen tradition they say first rivers are rivers and mountains are mountains. That's the first stage, infants and animals. Then rivers are no longer rivers and mountains are no longer mountains. That's when the second step, when we've separated ourselves out. And then in the third step, rivers are rivers again and mountains are mountains again. It's a state of unity, that there's a similarity between them. But there's also this subtle difference. And it's exactly the same understanding that Ramana Maharshi was referring to when he said, representing these three stages, the first stage, the world is an illusion, only awareness is real, awareness is the world. He actually said, the world is an illusion, only Brahman is real, Brahman is the world. But it's the same understanding. So I recommend taking this first step, exploring, seeing that you are not essentially anything objective. Even your most intimate thoughts and feelings are not essential to you. They come and go, and therefore they cannot be what you essentially are. So I recommend this inward-facing path, the path of discrimination, or the Vedantic approach to establish what you essentially are, pure awareness, and then discover the innately peaceful and unconditionally fulfilled nature of awareness, and then go back to objective experience and collapse the distinction.